Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we are diving into a really profound philosophical shift from our source material. It asks a pretty tough question, honestly. Where exactly are you spending your daily energy? We're going to look way past the immediate, everyday noise of modern life, adopt a true long-term perspective, and actually build a mental framework for your life's work. Let's just get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. The source material kicks off with this incredibly powerful grounding quote. It says, "Hereafter focus is harvesting. We plant seeds now and get the fruit in hereafter." I just absolutely love this because it immediately establishes this timeless agricultural metaphor. I mean, think about the act of farming for a second. A farmer doesn't just plant a seed and then expect to eat the fruit that exact same afternoon, right? It takes patience, it requires really diligent effort today, and absolute faith in a future yield. And the text is asking us to apply that exact same logic to our own existence. Our focus shouldn't just be on what we can consume today, but on what we're actually cultivating for our ultimate future, the hereafter.
And that leads us directly to the core problem we have to solve. If we're supposed to be essentially farmers for the future, what exactly are our crops? The source text poses this brilliant, piercing question directly to us. What can we get in the hereafter that we can plant today? I want you to really think about that for a second. If the ultimate harvest is in the hereafter, what are the specific, tangible seeds that you and I are supposed to be putting into the soil right now, in this present moment?
Well, before the source even answers that question, it actually takes a moment to point out where we usually get it wrong. It highlights what we could call the mainstream distractions. The author notes a super common pitfall. Mainstream leadership and scholars often get completely bogged down in the wrong things. They end up pouring all of their energy, and by extension, directing our energy into politics, into rigid identity debates, and into the mechanics of rituals. And to be totally clear, we're looking at this impartially here. The text isn't taking a specific political side or anything like that. Rather, it's making a much broader observation. Leadership just often gets trapped in the immediate, surface-level arguments of the day, completely losing sight of that true, long-term harvest we were just talking about.
So there is a really stark contrast between these two paths. On one side, you have the mainstream leadership focus, which is all about politics, identity, and rituals. On the other side, you have the ultimate result, improving relationships. The source text makes an absolutely crucial clarifying point here. It doesn't necessarily say that identity or rituals are inherently bad. Actually, scratch that, it argues that these things are simply a means to an end. The text explicitly states ultimately they should result in improving one of these relationships. The real tragedy is when we treat the politics or the rituals as the harvest itself. They aren't the harvest, they're literally just tools. The true harvest, the actual ultimate result we're looking for, lies entirely in cultivating relationships.
So what exactly are those relationships? What are the actual seeds we need to plant? The text identifies three specific pillars. First, connection and closeness to God. Second, our character, meaning our relationship with our own inner self. And third, other people. I want to just let the profound weight of that specific relational trio settle for a second. God, self, others. According to our source, this is the definitive answer to our earlier question. These are literally the only seeds worth planting today that will survive to be harvested in the hereafter.
We're going to take this conceptualist and transition it into a spatial, interconnected visual framework right now to really lock in this understanding.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it captures the dynamic nature of these relationships. We have hereafter focus sitting dead center in a large circle, but pay attention to the perimeter. We see God, people, and self. And notice the arrows? They aren't just static dots. The arrows arc out from that central hereafter focus and point toward God, toward people, toward self, flowing all the way around the circle. It's this continuous interconnected loop. Your relationship with God, your relationship with your own character, and your relationship with other people aren't isolated silos. They all orbit around and are completely fueled by that central focus on the hereafter.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact same concept, but it adds a whole new dimension, literally. The source provides a second mapping for those three relationships, this time onto an X, Y, and Z axis. We've got the line reaching upward to God, we have the line reaching outward to people, and we have the line extending inward to self. Now, why represent it like this? Because an axis represents infinite space. It means these relationships aren't just points on a flat piece of paper, they actually form an active, three-dimensional space of continuous growth. Cultivating these three specific seeds gives your life volume, it gives it depth and endless direction. Every single action you take can be measured along these three lines of growth.
So we have the theory, and we have the visual framework. But, understanding the map doesn't actually get the seeds into the ground. The source brings the focus urgently back to the present moment.
We must start sowing these exact seeds, working on our connection to God, refining our character, and improving our relationships with other people right now. Not tomorrow, not when the mainstream distractions finally quiet down, because, let's face it, they're never going to. The urgency of the harvest demands the action of planting today.
So the crucial point is this beautiful, long-term promise that the source leaves us with. It reads, "It grows, and we experience the best harvest in the hereafter." When you purposefully dedicate your energy away from those empty mainstream distractions of politics and rigid rituals for their own sake, and instead you actively build out those three dimensions of God, self, and people, it compounds. It grows and grows. You're building something resilient, something profound, and something that completely transcends the immediate moment.
I want to end today's explainer with the exact open-ended prompt found right in the middle of our source text. After listing those three seeds, God, character, and people, the author simply asks, anything else? It's just a brilliant, provocative challenge. Is there anything else truly worth dedicating our ultimate focus to? I'm going to leave that with you to reflect on as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this framework. Keep focusing on your harvest, and I will see you in the next explainer.